Welcome to this special Gold Derby Meet the Emmy Nominees TV Directors panel. I'm News and Features Editor Ray Richmond, and I'm joined today by the Fleishman Is in Trouble directing team of Valerie, Faris, and Jonathan Dayton, Brett Morgen, director of the David Bowie musical documentary Moonage Daydream, and Bryan Rowland, a director on the sports docuseries Welcome to Wrexham. Thank you for joining us. It's exciting to have you here. I'd like each of you to describe an instance in your career, whether on the project you were nominated for or a previous one, when something in a scene or a shot or an effect came alive on screen far better than you'd imagined it in your head, and what that felt like. And if you can't think of anything, don't worry, I have other questions. Valerie and Jonathan, let's start with you. And the two of you don't have to agree on any one thing, but you can if you want.
Oh, God.
I mean, each project has those moments. I mean,
I already mentioned one, with Claire on Fleishman, but I feel like, luckily, I think they happen a lot because we always love our cast. Like, casting is sort of the most important part of our job, I think.
I was just thinking there's sometimes like a non-moment becomes really interesting. And there's a moment in episode 7 where Claire is eating a salad and she's just
had her total, meltdown or
this cathartic scream. And she's just going down this rabbit hole, and she's with her, this guy she's having an affair with, and she's just silently eating a salad,
taking really big bites,
and it is so funny and weird and loaded,
and he says, "This place is so weird," and then she just keeps eating and
kind of ignores him.
This expression that is just, I don't know, it was one of those lines we didn't think was that, we didn't really think the scene was even like, do we need this? But then she just turned it into something that cracked us up anyway. I think maybe we laugh at more than the audience laughs up. But it was
sometimes the inside jokes are the best jokes.
Yeah, it's just like her answer to him. She didn't say anything back, but it was really just her state was so. You understood exactly.
You can make eating a salad a layered performance.
That's certainly how it is in my life. Brett, how about you?
I guess for me, the sort of moment that resonates with Moonage was after about 6 months into the assembly, I went to Hawaii and decided to quarantine there during the pandemic, and I had this idea that I wouldn't come back until I finished the film, and so I had my Avid with me, and I'd literally sleep with it next to the bed or on the bed. And one morning I woke up at I think like 2 a.m, and I had this, I don't even know if it was an idea, but a feeling for the end of the film. Cut for 3 hours, went back to sleep, woke up, looked at what I had done, and that was the finished film. That was it. That was the last 15 minutes of the film, with very little maneuvering thereafter. So that it was the ultimate surprise and gift the next day.
Did you say you sleep with your Avid?
Literally, this way. I mean, I edited on my laptop, and I didn't have an additional monitor, so it was my laptop and a drive. Yeah.
Bryan, how about you?
For me, it's been more like, at least in my experience with just going out, because I when I'm out shooting, because I'm constantly editing in my head, right? And so I feel like there's been a lot of situations where I've been out filming and I feel like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible moment. This is the most incredible moment. And I will come back, and in the edit, it's just not clicking. And it's very different than what I felt like it was on set. But then there's just those hidden moments and just surprise moments that'll come out that have made at least the pieces I've worked on just just really come alive as far as just random things that you don't really even notice on set, but then it kind of really resonates more on screen than what you kind of noticed in person, if that makes any sense. I've just been surprised with how many times that's happened, where it's saved a scene or saved a sequence of something that I never really thought much about on set, but then coming back in the edit, it really helped make everything come together. I don't know if I can think of a specific time because it's happened so many times with me, but I think that's what I would go with.
That means you're successful when that happens a lot.
Yeah.
My next question is actually, what do people who aren't in the business or regularly on a set tend to get wrong about your job as a director? I mean, do they think you wear a beret and move around on a crane barking orders into a bullhorn? Let's start with you on this one, Bryan.
Well, in terms of nonfiction, and particularly in archival filmmaking, I've had several occasions where I've been talking about, going post-screening Q&As, and people say, well, what did you do? Meaning, if there's no actors to direct or there's no action, what is the role of the director in an archival film? So I think that's the great misconception, is that archival directors give all this footage to editors, and then sort of the editors give the film back, and you sort of shepherd it through, and nothing could be further from the truth. So to me, the role of director on archival is no different than a director in scripted. Particularly in the sense that every image that it was preconceived before it arrived here is birthed in my office. And so I could take a shot that the same way you can look at a house on set and you can make it a house for a setting for a horror film, or Rockwell's Morning in America, Breakfast in America, depending on how you light it, how you frame it, everything else. I feel the same about ephemera. I feel the same about archival. And so, to me, in sound, particularly in archival, you're not following, particularly the way that I work, we're not trying to mimic the visuals on screen. We're creating a whole experience that's sort of asynchronous. So it's very hands-on. Moonage supervised every sound session from the first pre-dub to the last, and was present for all 650 hours of the color correct. Really kind of shaping it all the way through. So I think that's a great misconception, particularly with archival.
Bryan, how about you? What do people get wrong about your job when you're directing?
I think I've got a daughter that she's 19 years old, and she wants to be a director, and so she's come on set with me quite a bit, and I think she's always come away being really surprised with just the brute force amount of prep involved. And because along with being like the king of imposter syndrome, part of that's been amazing is I prep a lot, to the point where I know the exact lenses that I want. I know the frame rates, I know the type of cameras, I know the formats, I know the color correction, the way it's going to be graded, the music, a lot going into the shoot. And having that much prep and being able to present it in a way to a team, I think is really, really helpful to avoid what could be the endless phone calls and meetings, and being able to present it in a way where it's so crystal clear what your vision is, that your team there's no question from your team as far as how the execution is going to happen. And at least I learned that, at least on the commercial side of things, because the turnaround times were so insanely tight that there was no room for error as far as execution went. And so I think that at least that's what the answer, at least for my daughter, would probably tell you, is just the absolute, just the amount of prep. And the more clear you can be in prep, the more your vision is really going to come across on screen. So, and prep isn't sexy. Prep is not sexy, but it is so important.
Oh, absolutely. I think for every area of Hollywood, every area of working on a set. Valerie and Jonathan,
I would say,
do people think you guys are sitting in a chair with your name on it, just screaming at people?
not if they watch us, I don't think so. I don't know if we do a lot of sitting or screaming either, but I mean, I do feel like prep is a huge part of our job, and maybe even more so with two of us, because that's when we, you know, we both might have a slightly different vision of what the film is. So we have to sort of merge those in prep. And I mean, I don't know what other people who don't know what directing is, what they think. I don't know how to answer that part of the question, but I feel like what it is just, you know, endless decisions, you know, just every little thing has to be is a decision, and it's endless. Like, you know, I always feel like I still didn't get to, you know, that we didn't get every little thing that we wanted, you know, and I think, so you know, I think it's like a race against time, and you're trying to, you know, you are sort of trying, I guess it's a little bit of being somewhat controlling, like wanting to, you know, have every little thing, get other people to do those things, but also want to bring in all the, you know, how to best use the talent that you have brought to the project. That's another big, I mean, it's a lot of things.
I think though that the biggest misconception about directing is that directors sit on the set and direct everyone and direct the performances. I think that, you know, for us, we prep, we know what we want, but in many cases, we try and say as little as possible.
It's more like whisperers.
You know, yeah,
like
yeah. You know, you. I think you want to make sure that everyone's headed in the direction that you want, but you want to leave room for accidents. You want to leave room for contributions that you never would have thought of. So,
and you also want to, like, you know, actually all that prep is so that you can be in the moment when you're shooting. I think that's the other thing, is not getting too, you know, stuck in what you thought you were going to get, and actually be there to judge whether it's working. You know, it's so much about, is this working? Like, I feel like so many times we're on set and we're just going, it's not working. It's not, something's wrong with this scene, or, you know, and so then it's our job in that moment to figure out what's going to make it work. You know, what's the thing that's not right. So I don't know. It is a weird and hard to kind of put into really strict terms what the role is, but it's a little like parenting. I say a lot, because, you know, you don't really make your kids. You are just sort of trying to help it along, help them. You know, you have an idea of who they might be, but they surprise you. You know, so I found that parenting and directing, I learned a lot that I could apply to each from, you know.
but directing is easier.
Yeah.
I would think
It's a lot easier.
Much easier.
But and like parenting, though, directing, I would imagine people don't want to feel like they're being micromanaged. So it's really a fine line.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have. Congratulations to all of you on your Emmy nominations, and good luck at the ceremony, whatever that may be. Directors Valerie, Faris, Jonathan Dayton, Brett Morgen, and Bryan Rowland, thanks so much for joining us today at Gold Derby.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys, and
So much.
thank you, Ray. That was fun.
Thank you.